So it's been 5 years since the release of Horizon Zero Dawn, a game that was critically and fan acclaimed and had the potential to be not only the new great PlayStation franchise, but the potential to deliver a sequel that could very easily become a modern gaming masterpiece. Now Horizon Forbidden West is upon us, and is it that masterpiece? So Horizon Forbidden West continues the story of Aloy and her journey to stop the degradation of planet Earth and set up a fruitful future for years to come. In this sequel, she has to venture into the Forbidden West, which is an area of the world that is shut off from the new modernized version of society because it is overtaken by ruthless tribal members that are in the middle of a civil war. And Aloy has to weather this civil war, new enemies, new threats, and a lot of unknown in the Forbidden West in order to get the subordinate functions of Gaia back together and reform the planet Earth. Now, I was a big fan of Horizon Zero Dawn. I thought that it was a great property. It had a lot of potential going forward. I really liked the world. I liked the new style of combat. There's elements to it that are certainly derivative of other franchises, other great games like Uncharted, Assassin's Creed, but it utilized those familiar elements in a very unique way. And so while I did not think that it was a perfect game, while I did not think that it was necessarily a masterpiece of its genre, there was so much potential with this new franchise, and I have been highly anticipating this sequel, Horizon Forbidden West. For a month where we have 4 major games coming out, might even be another one that I'm forgetting, all within just a couple of weeks, Horizon Forbidden West was easily the one that I was most anticipating, that I could not wait to play, and the one that I was quite literally salivating, waiting for that countdown to reach 0 for when I could turn this thing on and re-experience this world. Now, I got a little bit of a late start on this game. I had Uncle Sean here staying with me. Those of you that follow my main channel saw a couple of the collab Q&As that we did. We saw a couple of the social media posts, had a great weekend with Sean, but I finally got to put this thing in on Tuesday, and I spent the entire last week plus playing this game, putting in over 20 hours into it, completed the main storyline, completed a vast majority of the side missions, a lot of the collectibles, explored damn near the entire map, tried to experience as much as possible of Horizon Forbidden West before I lay down my thoughts and my feelings about this sequel for you all. So starting off with the positives of Horizon Forbidden West, even more so than the first game, I just love the world building. I love this universe. I love the mix of the futuristic sci-fi with the very archaic caveman, primal, tribal aspect to the storyline, to the characters, to this society. I love the way that it satisfies both, and I love the way that they mesh together in a way that it doesn't feel like complete tonal shifts. It doesn't feel like two combating ideas. They mesh together damn near perfectly in a way that I have not seen a franchise be able to do quite on that level in video gaming. There's plenty of franchises out there that try to go for big, bold ideas. Few of them marry together in such a homogeneous way as Horizon. I love learning more and finding out more lore about the old ones, us humans and society before everything went to shit and turned into the world that is this world. I love finding out the motivations of different characters, different villains, different heroes, different side characters in this world. I even love the way that they have expanded on the different threat levels and who is your ally, who is not your ally, and constantly questioning that throughout the journey of Aloy. All of the experience of this living in this world and watching this world live, breathe, come together, and just be expanded upon in this sequel, by far the biggest thing that I will take away from this, and by far the biggest thing that I want to see continuing to be expanded as this franchise goes forward. And I absolutely adore the combat in this game. Now, it's difficult. It's certainly not going to be for everybody, because while it's very action-packed, while it is very basic, it's simply melee or using your bow and arrow, there is a lot of strategy to it. Every single one of these machines that you come across, you scan it, and there's all these different components that are on their armor, that are on their body, different functioning pieces that you can shoot off, that you can make explode, that you can have these elemental reactions where if there's like an acid canister, you can shoot it with an acid arrow and create this explosion to take down that machine or to put some kind of an elemental restriction on it. There are weapons on some of them that you can shoot off and then use that against all of your enemies. There's even collectible pieces like for your crafting and for trade that you can shoot off of these machines that have to be removed from their body before they die, otherwise they disappear with the body. They lose their value. You have like certain strategies to how you take down all these different machines. And even the human enemies, there is a bit more of a melee focus, but there is a certain strategy to that as well. When you're working with numbers, whether or not you want to go stealth, whether or not you want to focus on one guy or leap over that guy to go kick the ass of the person next to them, there is so much different variety and strategy to the combat that no two encounters feel the same. And while there are certainly times where you will get really frustrated at meticulously taking out piece by piece of this machine just for them to get one swipe at you and take you down, a la like a Dark Souls game, that's part of the enrichment of the experience. Is after dying 4, 5, 6, 20 times trying to fight a Thunderjaw and then you finally take that bitch down, there is few games out there like this and Dark Souls that give you that level of satisfaction of finally being triumphant. One of the biggest things that stood out to me about this game, and I honestly don't remember if I thought this about the first game or not, but the focus on quality in the side missions is unprecedented. For open world games, traditionally, much more times than not, side missions are busy work. They get very little focus of story. There's really not a whole lot there. It's not like you miss out on huge pieces of the story by skipping that and just following the main path. Oftentimes, they're very repetitive and trivial objectives. There's not really much aside from busy work padding out the runtime of these games, the amount of content in them that get utilized in side missions. In Horizon Forbidden West, I was almost more captivated and more invested in the stories of the side missions than I was the main story of the game. And that's not a knock on the main story. I do have my issues with it, but that is just a praise for how much production value, how much quality, and how much of a writing focus they gave to these side characters and to the actual journey of Aloy going through these different side missions. And I love the way that a lot of them feel like they just naturally occur. Most times in open worlds, you walk around, you see a little indicator, okay, I'll go talk to that person because there's an exclamation point over their head, and then they give you a side mission. And there's some of those in this game, but there's a lot of them where you're just walking through the desert or you're walking through the woods and you come across somebody that's getting their ass kicked and you help them out, and it opens up this whole 30, 45 minute side story, and it just really makes this world feel alive. It makes it feel natural. It makes it feel like something that you're just naturally coming across these side missions, not just a map with a bunch of little indicators and you can go there if you want, you can skip it if you want. And even the collectibles in this game, like all of the different elements of these machines that you can shoot off, or go into the different tall necks and unloading parts of your map, or going and taking down these survey drones. Even the collectibles feels like there is a narrative relevance to what you are doing, and it feels like there's actually not only a narrative motivation to go there, but also a satisfaction within the gameplay to where it doesn't just feel like, ugh, okay, I'll go do that because I need to have the trophy at the end. You want to see what doing that unlocks in this story. And possibly the biggest praise that I can give to this game is that this might be the best looking video game I have ever played in my life. This is in very close competition with Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart for the most gorgeous video game ever brought to life. Now, there's a couple of technical bugs that I will talk about that keep it from being a definitive yes. But the graphic quality, the fidelity, the smoothness of the frame rate, the varieties visually in this world where you have desert sections, you have forest sections, you have a beach, you have a swamp, you have frozen mountains, and it just constantly is a feast for your eyes. I played this on 2 of the 4K TVs in my house, and it was constantly just a marvel. Just walking around in this world, even if I'm not fighting or doing anything, just walking around and seeing and hearing with all of the amazing sound quality and sound design in this and the sound production, this world coming to life, it's something that if they can just capture half of that in this VR game that they're making, it's going to be astounding. Now moving on to the one mixed aspect I have with this game, and that is the storyline. Now, I think that the story for the most part is pretty good. I think that it takes the story that the first game has, takes the baton, keeps it going, and builds up to what is probably going to be a third and final chapter in this game, and sets up enough things that makes that an exciting thing to anticipate for a while. But at the end of the day, this is a MacGuffin storyline. This is Aloy wants to do something, so she has to go get this thing to do that thing. And we've seen that type of storyline so many times in movies and video games. There's a reason why there is a term for it, the MacGuffin storyline. You literally have her going and trying to get these 3 elements to Gaia's protocol, to where you go in, you take them, you bring them back to Gaia, and every single one has its own little trials and tribulations and characters involved, and you're trying to get it all put back together so that Gaia can be reformed and you can rebuild Earth from then on and stop the degradation of the planet. And it's a lot more stretched out than that. There's a lot more intricacies and nuances and character development within all of that. But at the end of the day, that's basically the storyline. And I really did find myself a little bit more invested in all of the side missions and all these different tribes and these different members of the tribes in the Forbidden West than I was ever invested in Aloy's triumph over getting these items and bringing them back to the central hub. Now, as far as the negatives, the main one that really stood out to me, especially when I started this game, is that I think they did a pretty mediocre job at really getting people's attention and grabbing you by the throat in the first couple hours of this game. There is a really long, slow, drawn-out section of exposition in this, at least 2 to 3 hours long, depending on how much you actually do. And I feel like that's going to turn some people off. I've actually seen people turned off by the first couple hours of this game. And even me, somebody who loved the first game and could not wait to play this game, I did find my patience getting tried a little bit when I was really expecting to turn this on and just hit the ground running at all of the dialogue, all of the cutscenes, all of the slow buildup of exposition leading up to you finally going into the Forbidden West and this entire game just unlocking itself. And now, go do what you want. Very similar to Halo Infinite. The first couple hours of the game do not really reflect the experience you're going to have for the rest of your experience. And it's weird. Whenever you pace a game like that, I think, especially nowadays with things like Game Pass, where people are trying games out and a little bit more selective, you don't grab somebody right away, they're more inclined to put this away and go play something else. I've also come to the decision that I don't really love the character of Aloy. I think that she's fine as a protagonist. I like the way that she looks. She certainly has an iconic PlayStation character look to her, but her personality, her journey, her character development, it's just not really there. She's constantly overshadowed by all of the personalities that she surrounds herself with. And now 2 games deep, I can't really point to or tell you anything specific about this character other than the fact that she's heroic. That's kind of a problem. I like a little bit of a complicated nature to my main characters. I like something that makes them really pop and stand out amongst the rest of the characters. And she's just kind of a vessel for us to go on this journey. Maybe that's a conscious decision by the developers, but it ended up being part of my disconnect from the main storyline, is that because I'm never really fully invested in this character, I can never really be fully invested in her journey or her struggle or the overall plot that she is going on. I like experiencing all the other characters in the world. Despite how much I love the combat mechanics with the machines and the different strategies that you have to implement, I still think that the melee combat is pretty weak in this. I think that it's fluid, I think that it feels good, but it's very basic. And the fact that we don't have a block or a parry option in this, I find very odd. There's so many times where you get into fights with people and they just start slashing at you, and you can roll sometimes, but there's no real defensive maneuver that you have built in that just feels odd that it's not there. I mean, you have R1 for a light attack, R2 for a strong attack. There's about 5 or 6 different combos that you can do with those 2 buttons, but that's about it. So for all of the amount of variety, for all of the attention to detail and all of the effort put into the bow and arrow side of the combat, I just find that they should put that much effort and that much variety and that much focus into the melee combat, because you're fighting a lot of human people too, not just machines. And finally, yet again, just something that's becoming an ongoing trend with modern huge budget games, there's still some bugs. There are some bugs that I experienced, one of which I had to restart my game, not from the beginning, but restart from the last checkpoint, and a lot of them that I would just kind of momentarily see. There was pop-in textures, of course. It's not really a bug, but it's certainly something that stands out for a game that's as gorgeous as this. But I had moments where I was stuck in a sliding animation, and my character, it was pretty funny, was just kind of gliding around on her ass, and there was no way to escape that animation, so I had to go back to a previous checkpoint. I have had enemies spawn inside of rocks. I actually took a entire survivor camp one by one and killed everybody, and there was one person left and they were inside of a rock and I could not kill them, so I had to go back to a previous checkpoint and do that entire survivor camp over again. There is enemies that flat out just disappeared from the screen sometimes. I mean, these are few and far between. It's not a constant thing, and it's not game breaking. This is not a Cyberpunk level. It's not even a Dying Light 2 level of glitches, but when you have a game that has the production value and is just beautiful on the level that Horizon Forbidden West is, it almost hurts more when you come across glitches and pop-ins and things of this nature, because it's like walking into a 5-star restaurant and getting the most gorgeous plate of food put in front of you, and then you see a hair on the plate and you're like, oh, fucking really? Overall, guys, I had a great time with Horizon Forbidden West. I really look forward to a third chapter. Don't quite think that this franchise has delivered the masterpiece that it has the potential to deliver, but it is a very solid sequel to the first game that I do think improves upon pretty much everything that the first game got right, while at the same time carrying over a few of the issues with character and with story pacing that some people got turned off on with the first game. So if you were a fan of these characters or this world and you want to see the world of Horizon continue to grow, absolutely check out Horizon Forbidden West. So what did you guys think of Horizon Forbidden West? Were you a fan of the first one, and are you a fan of this one? Are you looking forward to this VR game, or do you just want the Horizon Part 3? Do you think that this franchise has the potential to deliver one of the greatest games of all time, or is it just not your cup of tea? Let me know your thoughts down below on Horizon Forbidden West. Please like and share this video, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my future reviews. Of course, we've got Elden Ring coming up. Hopefully within a week or so I'll have enough gameplay to be able to give you my full thoughts on that game. I've also been doing live gameplay playthroughs for video games that I'm getting ready to review. I did it for Dying Light, I did it for Horizon, I'm currently doing it for Elden Ring, and we're gonna have more top 10s and rankings throughout whenever I don't have massive games like this to take all of my gaming attention. So if you're a fan of anything in this video, please hit that subscribe button. Also, if you're a fan of movies, I have a main channel that's about 6-7 years old. Please check out the link to that down below in the video description if you would rather check out that side of my YouTube personality. Thank you for watching as always, and as always guys, remember, the Game Chamber is Commander Shepard's favorite channel on the YouTubes.